Hi, and welcome back to Joel's DIY. So I'm finally back, and I'm here to share a very interesting find today. Let me see if I can get this. It's quite heavy. I have found a Sony PS-FL7II. We're taking a good look at that. And this is let me put this down here because it's kind of heavy. This is actually a linear tracking turntable that is a drawer. So I'm sure that online you've seen plenty of other videos where turntables are basically kind of like function kind of like a CD player are demonstrated, and it's actually a drawer that you can put the record, the vinyl in, and it actually spins it and functions very similarly to the way a CD player would function or a laser disc player. This is not a laser, of course. It still has a stylus and functions like a turntable, but it's just the mechanism is more like closely related to the CD player. So today I'm going to go over the specs, and we're going to get some sound samples, and I'm trying a few new things on my channel. Mainly, we're going to get direct audio from the turntable, and give you a chance to really listen to what it sounds like. It's not going to be perfect because obviously YouTube audio is compressed, but we're going to give it a try. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching. All right, so here we have the turntable. Very nice aesthetically. So you just push this button and it automatically opens a drawer. Give it a second try there. And it opens up just like a drawer. You have the stylus here that I'm using. This is the Audio Technica 1001. And as you can see, the tone arm works horizontally. And as the turntable turns, obviously, you're able to play your record horizontally as the tone arm moves horizontally. These little holes there are actually sensors that detect the size of your vinyl. So it will accept 7 inches, or it will accept 12 inches. So that's kind of a nifty thing. No need for a switch. It's very solid. It's got a kind of a plastic casing there. And yeah, you push the close button and it'll shut it up, and it'll start the record playing as soon as you push the start button, just like any typical turntable. It's got your typical power button on and off. And here's the model information. It's a linear tracking turntable, quartz lock, direct drive, fully automatic stereo turntable system. And it's the model PS-FL7II, I guess, or II. And this turntable, from the manual that I read, came out in 1985. Let's take a look at the back here. And as you can see, it's got your typical control layout or input layout. There's the model number right there, and made in Japan, of course. And the Control S are just, I guess, inputs that you can use with a Sony stereo of that same model or same year model. You got a remote input, a sync input, in case you want to plug it into your cassette deck. All the wiring is hardwired, so that's kind of a disadvantage, of course, because if something happens to that wire, you're gonna have to replace the whole thing. And the audio cables and the ground wire are hardwired into the turntable, which is kind of a minus, but we'll make it work. So before we get into the actual turntable, I wanted to go over some specs for that PS-FL7. So this turntable was released somewhere between 1984 and 1989, and here's some basic specs. It's got an aluminum alloy platter, brushless slotless motor, which is probably the best motor that you can get, and also a direct drive, so that's also a plus. It's got quartz lock, so your wow and flotter is going to be pretty relatively at good control because there's not going to be a big variance in the speeds. It does 33 and 45 RPM, and this is the percentage of wow and flutter. Wow and flutter, sorry. Signal to noise ratio 75 dBs. Speed deprivation. I'm not sure what that means, but you know, I'm sure some of you out there knows what that means. So I'm just gonna just share it. Um, so it's obviously a linear tracking tone arm, so it's gonna play horizontally. And then tracking error 0.1% plus or minus. I don't know exactly what that means. Tracking force is 1.25 grams, which is typical for a P mount type of stylus. It doesn't have a lot of tracking force. That's why the sound is a little bit clearer. Um, and then here are the dimensions. It's in millimeters and weighs about 7.5 kilograms. And I'm sure you can look that up on the web to show you exactly what that is in pounds. So let's take a look at the turntable. Perhaps something pretty indicative of when this thing was released by Sony. This machine has actually been serviced by a company named Hollywood Beverly Radio, located in LA, 7706 Melrose Avenue. And I just thought that was kind of cool that it still had the sticker after many, many years, obviously. Most of these machines have been discarded or recycled as e-waste. So it's interesting that at one point someone actually worked on this. So let's go ahead and move on to some sound demos, and then we can hear the turntable out. Okay, so I got the trusty Cocktail Piano Time Music in an Intimate Mood box set, Reader's Digest. Found this a couple years ago at my local thrift store, so it's been working out great for sound demos. So we're going to be using that, and hopefully in hopes that I don't get copyright stricken. So we're going to take a look at some albums here from this box set, and I think I'm going to go with the Cocktail Hour. That seems to be a nice sounding record to demo with this turntable. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up the lid here, and out comes the turntable. Just like, and then you see that it looks just like any other turntable. You have the speed selector there. You still have to be able to adjust that. Yeah, simple as that. You just have an LED that moves to tell you what speed you're at. It also has a tone arm lift and cueing so that you can move the tone arm across the record as it's playing horizontally. Let's go ahead and put this record in just as demo to see how the thing works. And you can see that it just goes right on. And really, you can push just the start button. I mean, right here, I think I pushed the close button, but yeah, you can just press the start button and it automatically starts as soon as the machine closes. But I did it a little bit differently here. I closed it first and then pressed the start button. So there we go. So I'm going to take a chance to show you some sound demos, and then we'll see how the turntable sounds. So to me, it sounded great, nice and bassy, uh, great sounding, typical of what you'd want with this turntable. Now, I do have some things to share as part of my final thoughts that I'd like to get into. So here are my final thoughts. I think the turntable plays very well. It's solid. You got that protective cover that no dust is going to get in there. So your records, when you play them, they're gonna stay dust free for the most part. Some things that did bother me though was the fact that you could not really see what was going on with the tone arm. I tried to cue and move the tone arm around, but you really can't see the grooves in the record because there's no real light in there. I couldn't see a light, so it made very hard to cue the record. Let's just say that. But again, I think overall this is a really good machine to have. I don't see any problems with you stacking anything on top, and definitely it's gonna be very sturdy because the top is very very solid. It's not gonna sink in or anything, so that's a big positive because turntables can take up a lot of space. Nonetheless, thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's great to be back, and I look forward to making more videos for my channel. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend.